Everybody to our third Fireside Chat brought to you by the Global Wellness Institute. They have some great research and media content at globalwellnessinstitute.org. And we have a whole initiative dedicated to halotherapy, so you can check that out. I'm actually the chairman of that, and Erin Lee, who's on the call, is also on that committee. So we do a lot of great research and collect a lot of really excellent articles, so you can check that out. And if you want to see any of the other Fireside Chats, if you go to halotherapysolutions.com and look under the nav bar for blog and news, you'll see all the recordings. And speaking of recordings, all of these Fireside Chats are recorded. And hopefully in the next couple of days, you will get a link to the recording of this. We've had some interesting topics so far. Our first Fireside Chat was about asthma and halotherapy. The second one was about the incredible growth of touchless services. And this one is a really interesting and a little bit controversial topic, really driven a lot by COVID. It's about home halotherapy use. You look at what's going on with things like Peloton and some other companies that really focus on the consumer space, and their businesses are absolutely exploding because people are a little wary. Either places are shut down like gyms, or they're wary, or for whatever reasons they want to have home wellness either separately or as an adjunct to other places that they go. So I think this is going to be a really interesting topic. We have 96 people registered, so it's our highest Fireside Chat number of registrants. So we're really it's a really interesting subject. And one of the goals is to try to help you make more revenue during COVID without hurting your existing facility business. So we realize that when we talk to a lot of salt therapy places, they're very nervous about potentially cannibalizing their business. So we want to have an honest conversation about how we think you can do both. And we have two experts on the phone, Dianna Manoogian from Salts of the Earth in Sarasota, and Erin Lee from the UK, who has her own salt therapy place and is also vice president of the Global Reseller Program for GetHaloHome.com. So if any of you are interested in getting into the reselling of halotherapy products, you can reach Erin at GetHaloHome.com. She'll be happy to get you on board. So again, this is a fireside chat. So it's just meant to be very casual. And I'm going to go around back and forth between Dianna and Erin. And at the end, we're going to save about 15, 20 minutes for your questions. You can feel free to text your questions in throughout. And Terry's going to be the collector of the questions, and we'll answer them at the end. So let me just say welcome.
Just put the questions in the chat window of Zoom. Don't text them. Your chat window of Zoom.
Sorry, exactly. So we're going to start off with Dianna. Dianna, tell us a little bit about your business, how long you've been in business in Sarasota, and kind of like what impact you've seen from COVID on your business.
Sure. So I'm in Sarasota, Florida. Sarasota is still a transient area where we do have a lot of people who come and visit during the wintertime and are here for anywhere from 3 to 6 months and then go back up north or out west or even just north a little bit. So we don't have a really full-time residents. We don't have a lot of those. So we still have some of that coming and goings of the snowbirds, as they like to call them. So we're coming into our season now, October through pretty much the end of May. And also for us, we do have an allergy season at this time of year. So I'm starting to see my regulars who do have allergies start to pop into the shop now. We've been here for 3 years. And just before COVID hit, we were really on a great trajectory to, we've had year over year growth, and it looked like we were actually going to double that this year. So kind of had the knees cut out from under us a little bit given COVID. However, our spin has been, salt therapy is one of the greatest and safest things to do for your lungs, for respiratory health and wellness. And everything's covered in salt. So that, covers a lot of the germs and microbes that people are afraid to go out and run into contact with. So that's kind of the spin that we've given since COVID hit. We do have our regulars have come back. Having new people come in is just taking a little bit of time psychologically for people to know that it's safe. We don't have a lot of people in here at any given time. Our main room now is normally seats 8 people. We have that down to 3 at any given time, so that they do know they're not going to come here and have, 30 people sitting next to each other.
No, that's great. Now, are you seeing, I think you mentioned, or are you seeing some people, some of your core members that maybe they're more elderly, or maybe they have some underlying respiratory condition that they're more nervous about coming? So they still need halotherapy, but they're at home, right?
Yes. So we do in Sarasota have our population is, I would say, 80% over the age of 75.
Wow.
So we do have an older population. Plus the fact my clients are people who have issues, right? So asthma, allergies, bronchitis, lung issues, skin issues, things like that. And given the beginning of COVID, we have not had one client come down with COVID.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's fantastic. Now, it's interesting. Your location is really at the intersection of probably where people need halotherapy the most, but perhaps are the most nervous about going out and, interacting with others as well. So.
Right. And the Halo Pocket, I think, is going to be a great option because I do have clientele who travel. They are mostly retired, so they do travel to see the grandchildren, to see their friends, or just like to travel. This is a great option for them because they're going to be able to rent a unit from me a week, 2 weeks a month while they're out of town and still be able to get their salt therapy, which is going to change things for them.
No, that's great. We're going to talk about rental in a minute and also the Halo Pocket. Erin, can you talk a little bit about your business in the UK? Since we're the Global Wellness Institute, we love having people from around the world as speakers. So, Erin, welcome. And maybe I think you have the Halo Pocket with you. So, talk a little bit about your business and what the Halo Pocket and what you think, why you think selling or renting to consumers at this time is a good business and not necessarily cannibalizing your business.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me, Steve. It's always a pleasure. I think in the UK, we've got a slightly different scenario than maybe in the States, where halotherapy hasn't really fully been embraced yet. So there's not actually that many halotherapy facilities around. Therefore, you have to travel quite a long way to get there. So from my point of view, the Halo Pocket is going to make it a lot more accessible to those people that maybe don't have a facility that's local to them. We're kind of doing a double whammy here as far as we're trying to obviously promote halotherapy as well as home solutions, but trying to explain the benefits and just really get the general public aware of all the benefits about halotherapy at the moment. But from a business point of view, I too was actually quite initially reluctant to maybe embrace the Halo Pocket, but since kind of having it, this is it, having it around, I've actually completely taken a U-turn on that, because I've had people, who, as Dianna said, that may be scared to maybe leave the home, or they have such a condition that makes them feel uncomfortable leaving the home, or they just physically can't leave home. So therefore, the Pocket comes in really handy for them to be able to still do the halotherapy, because they've obviously found huge benefit from it, that to then stop it would be really, sad for them. Also, with the COVID situation, that's obviously put a far greater emphasis on everybody's respiratory health and hygiene. So we're getting a lot more inquiries from people, but it's not necessarily just for the individual, it's maybe more for the family. And, everyone's got such busy lives that trying to get your whole family in one place at the same time is sometimes nearly impossible. So again, that's where the Halo Pocket can come in really, really handy. Or the Halo Pod. because obviously you can have the Halo Pod at home as well, which enables to treat the skin conditions too.
So, Erin, two things I'd like to just ask you based on what you said. So tell me a little bit about the Halo Pod. What is that product? How is it different than the Halo Pocket? And why might somebody want the Halo Pod instead of the Halo Pocket?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So with the Halo Pod, it's almost like a little pop-up room. It takes one person, which means that you can sit in there. So anybody that's been suffering from skin conditions, like the psoriasis, the eczema, other dry skin conditions, acne, means that they can still get the benefit of the full kind of halotherapy experience that can land on your skin. So it's all contained within a little pop-up tent, which is really light. It's easy to transport. I think it's only kind of got a footprint of about 1 square meter. So, you can just put it in the corner of a room, or if the weather's nice, pop it outside. So again, it's very versatile and great for families. Again, you can all take turns. There's also, if there's maybe groups of people or friends, you could all kind of share it.
No, that's great. And the other thing that I really like to ask you and Dianna, because I think this applies to a lot of people, you mentioned, distance or convenience. For your customers or Dianna's customers, or for Dianna's facility, for 80 to 90% of your call it regular customers, your members, your guests, whatever you want to call them, how close to your facility do they tend to live? 30-minute drive, 20-minute drive, or hour-and-a-half drive? How far does the typical customer come from? How far away?
I would say that no one travels more than maybe 20, 25 minutes.
Yeah. Is that the same for you, Dianna? It's mostly a local?
I would say the majority, but I actually had some people this morning who traveled over an hour to come.
Wow. Yeah. From the people that I've spoken to, the 20 minutes, 20 to 30 minutes seems to be kind of like the most often, which again, if you think about the amount of consumers or people outside of that radius that really probably aren't going to come an hour and a half or 2 hours to your facility, maybe twice or 3 times a week, it really shows that the market opportunity to make money selling halotherapy to consumers is very, very large. And if you think about how much money that you can make in as a whole, call it a wholesaler or as a reseller, you might be able to make literally several $100s, and in the case of the Halo Pod, even close to $1,000. If you look at the average person that comes into your facility, they may only come in once or twice, or it's a lot of money that you can make pretty quickly by being a reseller. Do you guys see that as a good alternative or adjunct revenue stream?
Well, I mean, I look at it from the point of view that there's only so many hours in a day as well, and only so many people can come into the facility. So I think from a retail point of view, to be able to generate additional income at the same time as you've still got people coming into your facility, it's a win-win. So what I've kind of been doing is to look at my clients, to almost do like a little survey with them to find out why they haven't been coming back. Is it because they're too scared? Is it because they're too busy? And then, those that have been too scared, then obviously I've kind of tried to relay their concerns by saying this is what we're doing to make sure that it's a safe environment for you. And, some have come back. But then also with lives just changing around, people have just maybe made that conscious decision that I can't get there, or and then that's when they've started to become interested in, so I can do this at home, can I? So I'm getting, it's piquing people's interest to get all those same benefits without having to leave home. So for them, their time maybe is more money to them, so they will make that investment.
Yeah. How about you, Dianna? Do you see it as an additional revenue stream that's not kind of cannibalizing your facility business?
I look at it as an opportunity for sure. For me, I think, and my clientele would be more of a rental And then there will be some few and far between that I think that will purchase just to have it on hand. You know, I do explain to them it's not going to be identical to sitting in the main room or sitting in a booth. You're not going to get the same concentration. However, if it's something you can do 3 or 4 times a day, it may add up to being the same as sitting in a booth for 20 minutes. So, you know, my clientele again is kind of specific, where I have a lot of older people, and they do tend to travel. So it's something that they can take with them. I think is going to be a huge thing for them.
Right. That's great. And one of the other things, and again, I'm very, very familiar with your absolutely gorgeous salt room, and I think you have some halo booths as well. So I think there's a misperception that if somebody, you know, has the halo pocket to use like in between sessions or when they travel, that they'll never come back to your gorgeous facility. So when I look at, you know, your salt room, which is one of the most amazing, I encourage you guys to go to, SOTE, Sarasota.com?
Right.
Yeah, the pictures of your place are phenomenal. The people that have products, like have beautiful salt rooms, the ambiance, and again, even being with some other people, you know, spread out, or if they have, or people have the new Halo IR with the infrared, and there's just a much different, higher value experience coming into your salt facilities. Again, I think the Halo Pocket is kind of like an adjunct, you know, for most people. And again, for people that aren't coming in, especially during COVID, which again, who knows how long this is going to last, where people are still concerned. It could be another 6 to 9 months. I think there's a good opportunity to earn additional revenue as well.
And it's teaching people about salt therapy that maybe they would not come in, but maybe they'll come and they'll rent for a week or two and then see the difference that salt therapy makes for them. So you might even have a whole group of people who've never even tried salt therapy that might be willing to do that because they're going to be doing it at home. That's
really interesting. So you're saying that if you can get them to rent a unit, right, just to try it as a way of experiencing it, right, they then eventually either, if they feel comfortable with your facility, and I know you've done a phenomenal job with sanitization and health, or later on, they'll come back to get the full experience of salt therapy. So you're saying it's almost like a good lead creator for your facility.
It's a little teaser, right?
Yeah, that's fascinating.
The difference that salt therapy can make, because people really do see a difference pretty much after the first session. You know, I tell them if you're congested in any way, you should see a difference after the first session. And really, it's 9 out of 10 people. So that if I can at least get it in their hands for them to try that haven't tried it yet. And, you know, for maybe kids, they think, you know, my kid's not going to sit and do salt therapy. This might be a great way to open those doors for them.
No, that's great. And Erin, same with you?
Yeah, I think so, absolutely. Also, with everybody kind of taking a bit more of an emphasis on their well-being, I think the combination of being able to visit a facility and having that whole body or whole well-being experience is something that you can't get anywhere else. So, you know, I think those people will always keep coming back, and to intersperse that with use of the Halo Pocket, it's the best of both worlds almost, I think. And especially those facilities that, you know, also offer a combination of whether it's a Pilates, meditation, that kind of thing. You know, people will want to come for that as well, but it does give them that option, or maybe when they have got a cold or some symptoms, that means that they can still do their halotherapy at home. But also, my kids were in our salt room last night having a bit of a rave. So it doesn't have to be a place where you have to sit down and relax. But
no, that's great.
You know, anything that you want in there and get that whole well-being.
No, that's great. In fact, I talked to a couple of other resellers of the consumer equipment, and they're actually using, they're inviting people. So just like you said, Dianna, that they're renting the unit, and then they will, like, you know, salt therapy, you know, at your facility. I've had other resellers say, because they're interested in the consumer products, they're actually coming into the facility first to get exposed or get experience with halotherapy. So it's a way of getting additional customers into your facility. So I think it's an interesting symbiotic relationship. But again, like you said from the beginning, the goal is not to cannibalize your existing facility business. And almost everyone we've talked to is absolutely nervous at first. But once they start dipping their toe in the water and start segmenting out their customer base who, can't come in right now or don't want to come in because of COVID, or they live too far away, or like you said, they're travelers. I think if salt therapy facilities or spas can segment out their customer base, I think you can have the best of both worlds of not losing existing customers, but providing halotherapy to your existing customers, as well as expanding into a whole new group of customers. So I think that's exciting. Dianna, talk a little bit about this time of year, like holidays, because I think you told me the other day you're looking at doing some promotions or advertising to try to get the Halo Pocket as a gift. Is that correct?
Yes, we actually have, we say give the gift of wellness. That's always our plan for the holidays. We actually are going to be featured in Sarasota Magazine as one of the unique gifts of the holiday season here. So I'm pretty excited about that. Wellness in your hands, respiratory wellness in your hands. So we'll see what that brings in, but I think it's going to really open people's eyes to, if you're not comfortable, this is a great way to continue doing salt therapy.
Mm-hmm. No, that's fantastic. One of the other interesting things we've heard also from spas and salt therapy centers, they're also using the Halo Pocket before and after as an add-on service to maybe massage or facials or foot massages or different things as well. So it's a way of, again, earning extra money without necessarily having them to sit in a salt room for 45 minutes. And then they use that Halo Pocket experience to then sell them the Halo Pocket. So I think there's some really interesting synergistic ways to just frankly make more money and provide better health for your community and your customers. So I think that's going to be a trend as well. So Dianna, talk a little bit about, so the company that you work with is Halo Home Solutions. That's the company that you work with the products from?
Yes.
And how is their service? How is their products? What's your experience?
So my experience with the Halo Pocket has been amazing. I've used it myself. I show a few of my clients who I think would be interested because of their situations, that I think they'd be interested in those pockets. We're pretty excited about the opportunity to be able to have salt therapy when they can't come into my facility. And I think, if you take care of your clients, they're going to come back. So if you have them feeling cared for when they leave, whether they buy a machine or not, I think they'll come back. So I don't really think you'll see a lot of people not return if, you take care of them.
No, that's great. No, I agree. And that's kind of the feedback we're getting. Again, like I said, people are a little nervous, but once they dip their toe in a little bit, I think it's great for everybody. Erin, do you want to talk a little bit about, well, we have about another 5 or 8 minutes before we open it up for questions. So Erin, can you talk a little bit about maybe the reseller program that you're now heading up and how people contact you?
Yeah, sure. So basically, we're trying to support and encourage those facilities that are interested in selling the Halo Home or the Halo Pocket together with the Halo Pod. And there will be a program there designed to support you through the process of learning all about the product, the best marketing ideas, something that we can all get together as well. So we'll have regular Zoom meetings, we can share our ideas, and basically just trying to look at attracting as many clients and customers as possible and giving you the ideas. We're also looking, I've been discussing about having a premium seller option as well. So these are all interesting ideas that you can be a part of, and as we've been saying there, that Dianna's having great success, and I think that we need to look at it maybe a bit like a facial with spas. You know, you go to a spa and you have a facial, but it's not to say that you don't use face cream at home when you're not going to the to the spa. So I think that's the same kind of concept we can look at, that people still want to look after themselves in between those visits, and it's got to be really popular during this time. So I can only see that it being a really positive thing.
No, that's great. In fact, one of the things you mentioned was the premium reseller. When I've talked to you about that, what it really means, it's pretty exciting, I think, that the company Halo Home Solutions, gethalohome.com, is going to be giving their leads, any leads they get from their advertising, they're going to be giving directly to the local reseller.
Yeah, that's right.
Who we call a platinum reseller. So I think there's some great, again, I think that we're really trying to make the awareness of halotherapy a lot more. And I think with consumers using it at home, there'll be great word of mouth. And I think it's going to increase everybody's facility business. So if you're interested in the reseller program of products, or you want to learn more, just email Erin, ERIN, at gethalohome.com. So she's a great person to work with. She's been part of my global wellness initiative on halotherapy. She's very aggressive and pioneering, and she's a lovely person. And check out Dianna's site as well. It's SOTE-Sarasota.com. And let's open it. I really appreciate everybody participating today. So let's it's I guess 1:30 Eastern time. So we have about another 15 to 20 minutes. So Terry, again, if people want to enter the question in the chat, in the Zoom chat, that would be great. Terry, has anybody asked any questions?
Yeah, so we have a couple questions so far. So one is, can I get a better look at the Halo Pocket? Are there pictures of the Halo Pod? Where can I go for more information? So I think the answer might be gethalohome.com, but I think I'll leave that up to you, and maybe Erin can. We don't have a pod, but I'll leave that up to you. So where can I get a better look at the Pocket and the Pod, et cetera?
So the two things I would do is, if you go to gethalohome.com, you'll see all the products. And we also have a video that I'm not sure if it's up on that site. But we will include that video in there. Terry, we can include that video out to people when we send the recording out.
Oh, he's on mute.
Okay.
So we will send out an email this afternoon or tomorrow, which will be a copy of this video, this chat, and I can also link in it the YouTube videos for the Pod and the Pocket, et cetera, whatever you want to do, Steve.
Yeah, let's do both of those. I think seeing a video is really good, and again, you can see the picture. So yes.
Okay. The other question is, how does this work? Like, how do if I find somebody, I then send it to you, or they go to I send them to the website, or so several questions, just kind of a little bit more on the detail of how it would work if they wanted to partner.
Yeah, okay, so I can answer that. So what we're trying to do is give as much control and power, if you will, and independence to the reseller themselves. So the reseller would buy, 1 unit, 3 units, 5 units from the Get Halo Home company. You would have them in stock, and you would pay the company the wholesale price, and there's big discounts based on if you buy 1 or 3 or 10 at a time. And Erin can go through that once you see the agreement, you'll see that. And then basically you collect the money from your customer and ship it to the customer. So it's very simple. We want you guys to have control of your customers.
Great. Another question was some questions of a similar vein, and I'm going to use my experience with my Halo cabin in southeastern Massachusetts as an example. So to me, you folks talked about, let me start my video because I turned it off. You talked about how close people were in miles, but I also found that there were people that were closer than 20 miles to my cabin, but just couldn't physically move, or it made it very difficult. It was very, very difficult for them to move. So example would be in an assisted living facility, or I have COPD and am homebound. I would have folks that would find people to help them come and visit my cabin occasionally, but they couldn't make that happen regularly because they didn't have the resources. So I wouldn't limit it to people that are close by. I would also think about people that are just challenged to come into your studio on a regular basis. And if I have COPD or bad asthma and I want to use this every day, and I have limited mobility, they just can't make that happen. So maybe you can look at ways to bundle things together. Maybe with a membership in your studio, you could bundle in a Halo home, or somehow, a Halo pocket, or somehow combine the physical world with the at-home therapy, because there are people that lived very close to my facility, but just didn't have the ability to move, or not very frequently, at least.
No, that's a great point, and I love the idea of bundling, because that protects the cannibalization fear as well. So that's a really, really good idea.
Yeah, great. And then here's another. This wasn't a question, but it's a comment I heard from someone the other day who is one of who already works with us, and she was focused on professional athletes. So MMA fighters was one, CrossFit. Even she was even speaking to. She's based in Las Vegas, and she was even speaking to the Las Vegas Raiders, I believe, is the new Las Vegas football team. And often they travel a lot. So they're playing in different cities, less so maybe now, or the NBA was in a bubble and they may not have the ability to install a Halo IR, for example, in their facility if they're not always in their facility. So if you're talking to athletes who are looking at improving performance or reducing the times they might get sick throughout the year, a portable solution might be better than them, trying to install something in their gym or because it just doesn't travel well, right? So CrossFit just had their final games out, I believe it was in California last week. Fewer athletes this year because of COVID, but still a bunch of athletes who were traveling to be at their best. And if they had been using halotherapy at home in a home gym or in a CrossFit box, there's no ability for them to bring that with them to an event, right? So I could see as somebody bringing it with them to that event as, again, supplementing some more traditional halotherapy they were doing at their gym or at one of our partners' facilities. So that's another thought that we had, was traveling. And then the final thought that she had, which may be specific, maybe to Las Vegas and New York and some other places, was performers. In Las Vegas, there's a lot of people that sing for a living every night. And if they start to get hoarse or wake up with a scratchy throat or a cough, now they may think, maybe I have COVID. But in the old days, they used to think, how am I going to sing tonight? And they don't want to call in sick and have their understudy perform because it's just not part of their nature. So again, if they had kind of a portable solution that could travel with them or be more available, that might work out as well. So again, back to the bundling. If you have someone that travels for their job, maybe you can bundle in, come visit me when you're here, but here's a solution you can bring with you. I'm assuming we can travel with that. I don't know what the TSA is going to say about the Halo pocket. Maybe we should test that.
No, I'm probably the only idiot that's been on a bunch of airplanes in the last 6 months, but I take it with me all the time, and it's been zero issue. In fact, I think I sold 2 of them to a couple of TSA agents as they were happy to see it. So it was good awareness.
So I'm glad you had that. Yeah.
Yeah. One thing you mentioned about athletes and fitness. I don't know how many of you are members of the World Halotherapy Association, but it's an incredible organization. They're doing some real great independent research, and they just completed a study a couple of months ago about halotherapy and the impact on recreational athletes. And they found that there was a 13% increase in VO2 max, which is kind of like the measurement for endurance or stamina, increase of the lung capacity. So I recommend you check out that study at the World Halotherapy Association and think about joining as well, as they're doing some incredible research. I would recommend that as well.
Yeah, that's a great idea. And then when you mentioned the airport, another use case for folks is right before you fly and right after you fly. So if you've ever gotten on a plane and were feeling a little stuffy, and then you would get potentially a pretty bad headache when you lift it off in the plane. But you really kind of need to do the halotherapy reasonably soon before you fly. And if you can't visit your favorite spa on the way to the airport, you might be able to bring, might use your portable version right before you leave for the airport. The other end of the trip is I've just sat in a plane for X number of hours and breathed in, God knows what I've breathed in the plane, although I've read that the plane air is actually quite clean. And if you wanted to do have a halotherapy session after you've flown to kind of clear out your breathing tubes and use that natural antimicrobial and anti-inflammatory properties of the salt, then you could, having it available conveniently before and after you fly might be helpful. Again, since you may not have the option to go to your favorite spa right before and after you fly.
No, that's great. Yep.
Okay, so those are most of the questions. I think at this point, I would open it up to you, Steve, Erin, and Dianna on any closing thoughts or any other questions that you might have thought of that you want to answer for the team or for the group.
Dianna, do you have anything else you'd like to add?
I would just say, now is the time for salt therapy. Of any other time in history, now is the time, because it helps to keep your lungs clear and clean. And build your immune system. And that's what's going to keep you healthy and not catching this thing. So I would, if you haven't already tried salt therapy, to go ahead and give it a try and see the difference it makes in your respiratory wellness.
Great. And Erin?
Yeah, I couldn't agree with Dianna more. It really is the right time. I think we all know it. And it's now just for people to take that leap or make that investment into their personal health and well-being now.
No, that's great. So again, it's kind of like final thoughts. First of all, I want to thank you guys for all for participating and listening and asking questions. As Terry said, within the next 24 to 36 hours, we'll send you out the recording of this. Feel free to share it with anyone. And again, if you'd like to become a reseller, you can email Erin at erin@gethalohome.com. There's also opportunities where you can set up people or other resellers underneath you where they're not trying to do this 87-level, multi-level marketing thing, but there will be some opportunities to put people underneath you where you can earn commission on whatever they sell as well. So I think this is going to be a really, really important area. And kind of like what I said originally with the Pelotons and other home wellness products, they're absolutely exploding now. And I hope what we showed today is that you can carefully and strategically make more money and serve your community better, even outside your community, by selling halotherapy equipment to consumers without it negatively impacting your facility business. And again, hopefully it can be a great synergy. And like Terry talked about, some bundling. So you can be as creative as you want. I just think it's a huge opportunity to get more and more people, aware and using halotherapy. So people are all breathing better and feeling better, especially during COVID. And you guys can make more money during these tough times. So again, thank you very, very much for your time. We're going to have the fourth fireside chat right before Thanksgiving. And we'll send you an email about what that subject is. And then just spread the word. We really want you guys to be as successful as possible. And we know it's some tough times, but we also know it's phenomenally exciting times now with halotherapy and lung health and lung hygiene being at the forefront. So great opportunity for the industry right now. We want to be here to help you. Again, check out the World Halotherapy Association for some of their research, and we'll talk to you guys soon. And again, if you want to follow up with Erin or even myself or Dianna, you can email me at steve@halotherapysolutions.com. Have a great week, and we'll talk to you guys soon.